Hello and welcome to another episode of Motors and Man Stuff Workshop Shenanigans. Today I'm actually here with my own personal car, so hopefully it's a little bit more interesting. This is a Nissan Skyline R32. I've put a Rocket Bunny kit on. It's bright purple and I've spent my whole life savings in it for the past 10 years and it's still broken, as you'd expect. So what I have in at the moment is a Nismo two-way diff. What I've got is a 4.1 ratio. I've rebuilt the diff myself. Obviously not that great. It's got a bit of noise from it. So even though I've rebuilt it twice, it's still making some noise. So I'm going to rip it out. I'm going to stick a standard S14 differential in. The ratio is about 3.6 to 1, I think. So it's not going to be ideal for what I want, but it's cheaper to replace. So I'd rather blow that one up than blow my nice Nismo one up. So that's today's plan. Rip the diff out and see where we go. See where we get. So we have this advanced rear boot stop. This keeps the boot open. Because when I set off today, the strong smell of fuel. It always stinks of fuel normally because it's using that much, but today particularly smelled. I had a look around and I noticed that the top feed return fuel hose from the fuel rail was leaking. So to get here, all I've done is self-amalgamating tape, a load of Gorilla tape, and it got us here. It was only 5 miles. It hasn't leaked on the way here since I've done that, but I have got a new pipe to replace that. So fingers crossed I can get that done today as well. The other thing is it has ruined my lovely orange paint inside of here. So fuel and paint don't mix very well. They eventually just disintegrate it, and the rear has some sound deadening in. It also disintegrates the sound deadening. So now I've just got a load of black tar instead of lovely orange painted boot floor. So at some point I'll get round to that. First things first, I think I should definitely do this fuel pipe, just so at least I can get home. Another thing is I'm going to have to see if I've got any diff oil in the garage. If not, it's going to be a trip to Halfords to use the cheapest stuff I can find because I've got no money whatsoever. But it'll be good enough for an S14 diff and it'll last us just to drive around the streets. Obviously this diff that I've got at the moment is my track diff, so the two-way. I'd like to have it back in as soon as possible, so I am going to be looking at someone else to rebuild it in the future. I just spent the last 20 minutes recording a load of audio that won't get used because I didn't turn my equipment on. But on that note, I have just spent a lot of money on new audio equipment, so you can actually hear us, new video equipment. I've got a new drone on the way, so we can get some decent videos where we're at car shows and things like that. So for me, it would really help out if you guys could like and subscribe. It takes nothing from you, but it helps the algorithm, helps me keep on making content. The other thing, it's going to get winter. It's lovely and sunny today. It's quite easy for us to drive down in the Skyline and work on it. I've got quite a bit of motivation to do that, but as soon as the winter hits, that unit is going to leak. It's going to be raining inside even when it's not raining outside. So I need some motivation to come down. If I'm not getting the engagement from you guys, I've got no motivation. I don't want to be here. So if you could kindly like and subscribe, show some support, tell us what you guys want to see. I have a load of interesting content that I think should be interesting to you guys coming up. So we'll keep at it and we'll see how we go. So as you can see, my repair was self-amalgamating tape and Gorilla tape. It has held, it did what it needed to do to get us here. I wouldn't recommend it for any longer than I did, but it worked. And this was cheap Halfords self-amalgamating tape from the discount bin for about 20 pence that I seen about 5 years ago. And this time it came in handy. So I'm going to show you where it's leaking from. It's making us a liar, obviously. Well, we've fixed it. Even though it seems to be fixed, I'm still going to replace this fitting because it was leaking between the actual fitting itself. So even tightening it up, even remaking the connection wouldn't fix it. It is the actual fitting that's failed. I do have a replacement that I'm going to try out. So as a close-up, you can see this fitting here. It leaks between there and there. So that is the actual component failure. Why? I haven't got a clue, but it definitely needs sorting. So it's going to get replaced. This braided hose is going to come out of here. I'm going to stab my fingers loads. I'm going to shout, swear at it. I'm eventually going to be able to put it in the new one, and then it should bolt all down and everything will be fine. And then great success. But then I'll have to do the differential, which means wheels off. It means diff off, shafts off, because the differentials are slightly different shape as well. It means that the half shafts won't fit. I do have other shafts to go in, so not the smallest of jobs, but not too bad. So we're going to start by removing the pipes. I've got some spanners which I think are probably the right size. They're probably not 17, nope. 19 is close. And some eagle beaks, vice grips, whatever you want to call them. So just going to disconnect this pipe here. Right, fuck that, that's not working. I'm going to get the right size spanners. So obviously I've gotten the 18mm spanner, which I think it should be, and lo and behold, it doesn't fit. So 2 19s it'll have to be, despite it being slightly loose. The longest thread known to man, and we are disconnected. What I might get away with, in fact, if this part hasn't failed and this part has, I might just be able to replace this. That'll save us stabbing my fingers, that'll save a lot of swear words, and it'll make us a lot happier. Just going to disconnect this pipe, this elbow from this pipe, and this should replace that directly there. That one is definitely an 18. I knew one of them was an 18. So the torque setting of this is certainly some, and that is around about 0.3 ugga-duggas, which is about that. If anyone has a more accurate measurements, please, by all means, let us know. I might not believe you, because 0.3 ugga-duggas is certainly a legitimate form of measurement. But hopefully this should fix that problem, and I'll not piss fuel everywhere on my way home. 5-minute fix, but just so happen to having parts is the main thing. Never throw anything away ever, is what I learned from this. As you can see, no leaks. Great success. The next step is to remove the centre bolt for the drive shaft. So for the drive shaft, I'm going to have to take this split pin out. And I'm wondering whether I can actually do with the wheel spacers on. I might not be able to. Some wangling managed to get that pin out, and now just take the lock and ring out, and then we'll be able to access it to take the drive shaft out. Drive shaft bolt out. So we're just trying to tap that drive shaft through once we've taken the inside off. To remove the prop shaft bolts, 2 diff carrier bolts there, the rear half shaft bolts on the left, the ones on the right, and then at the top there to remove the 2 rear diff carrier bolts. So I'm going to start by taking the drive shafts out and take the top off. Is removing these prop shaft bolts with great difficulty because I tightened these quite tight. Ow! Oh, that was my finger jammed. The bolt is capped up on the other side, so I just need to loosen this side. In this scenario, it's good to have someone to take the handbrake off, so rotate the drive shafts to access the other bolts. Stick the handbrake on again, please. Thank you very much. Now we can access the other set. That's our all out. You can get your drive shaft out. And then let's just have the last few bolts of the prop shaft and then the main diff. See how that goes. Now we've finally got all the bolts out. This should theoretically drop loose. Well, I say that. It's going to take some leverage. And by leverage I mean I'm going to hammer it. I'm going to do the rears first, simply because they're not going to drop me face if I loosen them too. The bigger breaker bar time, because evidently I've put these in very tight. Before I drop the diff on my face, I'm going to have to jack it up and to take the weight off it. That'll be once I've finished this. Fortunately and unfortunately at the same time, if you are trying to take these out, they won't fall on your face. They'll land with the anti-roll bar first. So we'll get myself stuck. I mean, if it does fall out, it'll save us some hassle. That'll be nice. I'll just move my face out of the way. Nope, stuck in the anti-roll bar. So, time to get the jack. So now we've got the diff out, I'm going to get the other diff, I'm going to drop the other shafts out, everything's unbolted so they'll just slot out. I'll have to fill up the new diff with some diff oil, I'll have to try and find some first. Put the casing back on. This rear casing is the only one that I've got with these 2 bolts, the other style is a 4-bolt style, so not that you care, but it's the only one that I've got, so I'm going to have to pull the casing off the back of this, put it on the new one, and then we'll get everything mounted. While these shafts aren't coming out, I'm going to have to hammer them out. So I forgot to take my strut off, and the strut is in the way of the half shaft, so that's going to get removed first. So now we'll shuffle the shock out the way. We can just pull the drive shaft out, along with loads of shit in the eyes. So this is one of the reasons why I wear a hairband, so I can see when I'm doing things outside. But this is the new Diff. This is just a standard S14 Diff. The difference is 6-bolt output flanges. That one's got 5. Inside of it is just a standard viscous LSD. That one's an ISMO 2-way. This is a 3.6 ratio diff. That one's a 4.1 ratio diff. In all, this is a nice cheap diff. That one's too expensive for us to blow up, so I'm trying not to blow it up. Got some oil in there. Just need to put that back cover on this, and then we'll be good to go. So now we've got the old drive shaft out, just slot the new one in. I'm going to slot the diff back in, and then we'll be able to bolt the new half shaft up, put the nut on the end of the drive shaft, and then bolt the prop shaft up, and we'll be ready to go. Now it's the horrible task of aligning the diff and getting it in around the exhaust, around the anti-roll bar, but I've got Josh, so he can give us a hand in a bit. So prepare for a load of swear words. And the tactical jack things up using my leg as well. You can't see it, but it's magnificent. Now my neck and spine are hurting a lot, so I've got to try and wangle. Push the jack forwards, please. Right, so we're over that lip. The diff is about to fall off the back of the jack, and yeah, can you jack it up, please? And hopefully I can jam my arm in and we can reshuffle the jack. Keep going. There we go. Right, so we've re-established a bit of safety. Forwards. There we go. Right. So now we've got the diff back in place. We've got both half shafts in place. It's going to bolt everything back in the reverse order that you've seen before, and then hopefully we'll see what it's like when it's done. So it's back on the floor now. Time to go test drive it, see if it's worked. Hopefully it doesn't blow up. Wheels are back on, all torqued up, thanks to Josh obviously. Loads of diff all over the floor. Obviously nature will fix that at some point. Take all the shit tools away, and then let's go make some turbo noises. Put it through its paces, and if it blows up, at least it's cheap. So now driving away, time to test the car, see how it fares. We used to have a high amount of vibration coming from the diff at the higher speeds. Gave us no faith that the diff was actually going to survive. So far